Hello everyone, this is Robin Carter. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator out of Flower Mound, Texas, and today I'm here to share some alternatives using the July 2023 Paper Pumpkin Kit named Fun in the Sun. So before we get started, let me thank those of you who have subscribed to my channel. Thank you so much for your support. And if you're new finding me, or maybe you've seen a few of my videos, I would really appreciate if you would hit the subscribe button below. So let me get started with this kit. So this kit was quite challenging to come up with some alternatives, but I'm going to do my best to come up with some. But I also wanted to show how if you're not into the fun fold card, you can make these into solid cards or make them just like they are. So I'm going to start with that, and I'm going to start with this cute card right here. I think they are very cute. I do like the fun folds, but as you know, I'm not a fan of how thin the card bases are. So it comes like this. Let me get this out of the way. And by the way, this sleeve is like 7 by 9, and it's a part of my favorite things collection. As you can see, it holds the instructions. It holds the card bases. It would also be great for storing your extras. And this is a part of my favorite things, and a list of those things are in the details of this video. I believe they've kind of changed it up. I don't know if it says read more or something like that. But if you just look below the video, all this information is at the end of my description of the video. So I found those to be a great help. They also hold the Memories and More collections as well. So this is how you get your card, and I wanted to fold it up already, your card base, because it's kind of quite challenging. So as you can guess, this part folds down like this, okay? And this one, you'll want to fold down as well. So I don't know if you can see this. You kind of just go up, down, up, all right? And then you can gently press it close. So I hope that helps. Now, granted, I think it's meant to stand up like that for your fun fold. So let me show you that again. It's up, down, up, down, up, down. And so that's how you do the fun fold. And then, of course, each of these pieces would fit in like so. Let me get the chair up. Okay, and like so. And then, of course, all of this here. Let me show you that more like this. Okay, so that's how those will go. Now, as I share often, I store the components to my videos. Let me not share in these little envelopes. These are the 5 by 7, and they're also part of my favorite things down in the description box below. But here's what I wanted to do. I have a solid card base, and I want to put this directly on a card base. Now, to help it not be so thick, you can cut off this back part. So I'm going to do that. Let me just cut that open, or get out my trimmer. Speaking of the trimmer, so brand new in the online exclusives, they have added scoring blades multi-pack. So it's a pack of 2 if you've lost your score blade, or some people find that they go a little dull at the end. Now you can purchase replacement scoring blades. So that item number is 163093, and I have a few days left to use this host code QXUCE296. Now, if you use this host code and place a $75 or more order using this host code, you will receive a special gift from me, as well as if you do any $75 customer order or more, you will get a special gift from me. So let me cut this card open. So this trimmer makes it really easy to cut off those pieces. So as you can see, I don't know, well, maybe you can't see, it's so far away. I'm going to put the score of this card right up here along the track. And then you can easily start either where it goes, and you can stop where it ends. You can just cut all the way off. I don't really Haven't used anything to use the rest of this card. But there's that, and then I'm going to turn it around to get this first part. Now, so I don't trim into that, I'm going to lift that up and then cut that off. So that just helps it not be so thick. You don't need to do that part if you don't want to. Okay, get rid of my trimmer and the scoring blades. Okay, so here I have just a card base made out of thick white cardstock. And so I'm going to glue this on here, okay, just like this. And if you want it to be not a full size of the card, you can trim this top off a little bit. I'm going to try to do it full size. So I am going to use my Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue, and that's going to help give me a little wiggle room to get this down. Now, I haven't actually done one of these first before this video, so I really hope this works out. So I'm kind of thought of this, and first I was just going to show how to fold it, and then I thought, well, what if you want it on a card base so that you can have more room, one, to write a sentiment on the inside. Now, because I use my Tombow, I can kind of slide this around. I'm going to stand my card up to try to get it flat. So as you can see, I didn't adhere. Oops, I'm going to have to let that dry, aren't I? Or that's going to pull. So let me just hold that a second. I've also pulled out the components of most of the card. Let me see here if I left anything off. I've got the beach. Oh, I'm leaving off the sign for right now. I may save it for an alternate. And here's my sunglasses. Let me turn those over. Okay, so I think that has held. But you know what? If you want it to be a fun fold, okay, I can see that part's not going to work right there. But that's okay. What you could do, here was my thought, is put dimensionals in between to hold it up. I'm just going to make it, you know what, this is going to keep popping up. So I think I am going to put dimensionals under there. As I said, I didn't do one of these before this video. I just had that thought. I was just going to glue it flat. But if you want some dimension, let me get out my little dimensionals here. And I'm going to, you know what, I'm not going to cut them in half. I want them to be kind of big. I'm going to pop up just this bottom part on dimensionals. Now, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. I'm just putting some down there. Okay. 4. Okay, so that just lifts that up a little bit. Okay, now what they have here is the scenery, right, that's going to combine here. Now you do have the option to not necessarily do it all the way down. You want it to line up with the horizon there. And let's see if we like this with liquid glue. And line it up and press it down. Okay, and then the chair. So it would fit in the same layer right there. And then of course this. Now I can tell already I'm going to have to glue some of this down. Probably at least this first fold. Actually the chair I think goes on the next one. So let me glue down this first fold as well. Kind of making this up as I go along. That'll help hold it together. Give that a second to dry. I could use my sticky tape, tacky tape. You know what? We have some tear and tape. Let me grab that real quick. I think I've put mine up. Just gonna get a piece of that off. See if I did it too long. Well, now my glue has adhered and the time it took me to get that. So liquid glue works just as well. Okay, and then we can stick our chair in here, right? I want more of the legs to show, so I'm going to have it come up just a little bit. But I think I'm going to do the chair with dimensionals. Let's see how that works. I have a set of minis here. By the way, if you haven't been a Paper Pumpkin subscriber for a few times, you may need to purchase these dimensionals on the online store. So we get quite a collection if you've been a subscriber. I don't know if I use the whole sheet. I just use what I have left. So let's see how this goes. Let me see if I think I can fit that on there without it showing. Maybe one more on the other side. I do it flat like that. All right, so let's put the chair on. I really hope this works. So we're finding out as we go along. Okay, so I'm going to stick the chair in between this next fold, but I want him to show a little bit. I can see I may need to trim that off. So if you take your scissors and maybe trim a little of that, he won't show. Or smush him in there to work as well. Okay. Got him as flat as possible. And then to hold this together, I'm going to put a dimensional in there. Now I'm going to use a couple of half pieces. I already have some cut right here. Because I don't want it to stick out real far. So that's why I'm going to put a dimensional to hold that on so it stays closer to the card. Okay, makes sense? And I'm going to do, I'm going to glue this one flat. So I'm just going to glue him straight on the flap. So we have a little bit of dimension there with our card. You can see with the chair. You could also cut out the folds and it wouldn't be as thick, but I thought I was going to make it easy and just try to adhere them down. Okay, we have this cute, this is one of my favorite pieces with a little umbrella and beach ball and stuff. So I'm going to adhere that down to the bottom. So you just need to put adhesive where it's going to go there. And then I'm going to put some dimensionals on the umbrella piece. I love using dimensionals. Those of you that have seen my videos know I love adding height to the cards. All right, let me cut a few more. So it only takes a half. So I'm going to use 1.5 on this one. And you can see that it's plenty to hold it down. All right, so I have liquid glue on the bottom so I can get it lined up straight. I shouldn't have taken him off yet. Okay, adhered here. All right, I'm gonna let him go. And so I think that is cute right there. So it's not quite a fun fold. It does have dimension on the thing. And you know what? I think I've missed that. Nope, theirs has that piece right there too. So that's kind of interesting. Now, if you want to jazz that up and you don't really like that, we'll add some things when I get to my next card. I guess we could put the sunglasses. They put it below. We could put those there to cover that little piece. I think I'll do that. Don't like that white showing. Okay, so that is pretty much the first card as it shows, except putting it on a full-size card front. So now you have the whole piece there. Now that is still coming up. I may go ahead and add some adhesive there. Okay, to hold that down. Okay, so what do you think? Is that a good alternate-ish? Okay, let me know what you think about that. Let me put that in my little baggie so I don't get ink on it or anything. Now to a true alternate. I'm going to show you two. Well, sort of, I guess. So I wanted to use the surfboard part next. Okay, and then I wanted to save the piece behind it. Let me get one out here. That goes here, right? Or underneath there. So I did a true alternate, and I'm going to walk you through this one showing a hard base. So what I did was I cut the whole thing off, right, including this white piece. Now I cut it down, even this piece. There's another piece that I didn't add on there. Okay, the surfboard part has these pieces. So I didn't use this. I saved it for my alternate, another alternate. And I did not use the background piece that goes here. So I cut that all apart, okay, like that. And then I used part of the blue to do a strip here so that it matched the horizon. And then I brought in some neat dies, these basic border dies. Now, when I first ordered these, I thought I'm probably never going to use this cloud, but I've actually used it a couple of times. So I cut me off a piece of just white clouds, and then I adhered them to continue along here. Okay, and then when you put your surfboards on, it covers the gap of what that holds. Now I wanted the little lines in the ocean. So let me show you. I took part of the envelope. I'd cut open one envelope in my unboxing. I did trim off the gummy part. I didn't use that. So I just used part of the envelope. Was right here. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, and I just, how I got that line, I actually used my dies from, let's see, the Around the Bend. I cut this off and used that as a rounding piece, but you don't need to. You could just do a general line to make the ocean come in a little bit. And then on this back piece, I just took my marker and did a line there of crumb cake to give it like the sand was wet. Okay, so that's what I did there. I did stamp the sun that comes in the kit in Daffodil Delight. I did add this surfboards with dimensionals, and then I'll show you how I made these shells. And that was one kit that I shared that I hope to be able to add stuff with, and that's the Season of Chic dies. Let me put up the cloud. I've lost the cloud once. He was stuck on the back on the magnets of my Stamparatus. I'm going to put him back in there. But these are the basic border dies. I forgot to share the code. It's 155558. So a bunch of fives. All right, so let me get out my Stamparatus and show you how I made the seashell. Okay, so I already have them set up, and I've shared before how I do this. I just stamp, okay, do the stamp on my deluxe mat, and then I put a mask of where I've cut out the shell. I line it up with what's stamped on here, and then you can clean that off or not. It doesn't matter. So, because that's going to be the bottom of your die. So I already have some pre-cut. Let me get those out. Got a mess over here now because I've shared a few things. So let me share also. So when I cut out the seashell, and again, this is my well-loved cutting mat. When I use the chic dies, and that item number is 158815, when I cut them out, they kind of stick to this mat. And that's okay. And I'm going to show you why. Because I get some, I actually like that it does that. I get some very low tack. This is my lower tack masking. It's not masking tape. Washi tape. And I put it over the detail that it cuts out. And I press it on there. And then I hope it hasn't been on here so long that it doesn't come off with the masking. Okay. So see, all those cut pieces are now together. And now I'm going to take regular Scotch tape and tape them all together so they don't come off. Okay, so that's one way you can do this shell. Okay, let me trim off the tape around, take off the washi, and trim off the Scotch tape. Okay, so now that shell is all together. Otherwise, those pieces come out, but I've used that as well. This one's a little more tricky because of this little bitty dot. So I'm going to try using the same masking tape, and hopefully that little bitty dot comes out. He sometimes, oh, he came out this time. Okay, that's good because trying to stick him back in there is pretty hard. So now I'm going to do the same thing, making sure I get the little bitty dot. Okay, set this here. And I'm going to trim around here. Now I'm showing you this way in case you don't have a Stamparatus, because what I did, not a Stamparatus, in case you don't have a Brother Scan and Cut, I actually scanned these two shells images because there's not a solid die in the Chic die set. All right, so here's one. Already lost the other. Hopefully he's under here somewhere. Oh, he's right here. Okay, and then this die. Now this die I'm okay just lifting off because he has a solid background that you can use. I'm just going to poke out those. So that's my well-loved die cutting machine cutting plate. All right, so I'm going to take the two that you could cut them in color. I did them in white, and I just realized I didn't put on my flip-flops on the other card. We'll do that later. Okay, so I'm going to get a blending brush, and I'm going to use my silicone mat. This is great for keeping your surface semi-clean. Did I set that over the shell? Oh, they're right here. All right, and I'm going to color these, and let me see what I did the other ones like. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and show you the next one we're going to make. So I did like Lost Lagoon on these two. So I'm going to get my Lost Lagoon ink, and I have made a spot out of Lost Lagoon. So I'm going to use that. Okay, and I'm just going to put it here on my silicone mat. Just going to, can you see? Okay, making sure it was in screen. I'm just going to tap down some ink. And then you tell me, is that blue, green? It's a blue-green, but I'm going to use my green brush. Make sure it's semi-empty. I'm going to pick up some ink, go off, tap just very lightly to give it some color, okay? I've got more green on there than Lost Lagoon. But it really doesn't matter if it's splotchy because we're going to stamp over this with the detail of the other die. Okay, that one's coming out a little better. I'll go ahead and make this one a little darker. Okay, so I've added some color, and then I'm going to stick it back in here, and you can decide whether you like this part. On this one, I'm going to do this part. Okay, and we're going to ink that in Lost Lagoon. I know this is off screen, me inking the Stamparatus, but that's okay. You know how to put ink on a stamp. Okay, and then I'm going to press down. Okay, and so that gives the seashell some more detail. So I like how that works because there's not a stamp for this one or that one, but I've worked that into using both shells of the bigger shell. Again, my chamois are soaking. They were not ready to be done. So that way you can get your Lost Lagoon out of the picture. And make sure my hands aren't inky. Let me bring the card back in. Here he is. So if you wanted to add some seashells down here below, here's how you can do that. Now I can see these greens don't exactly match, so I may do some different shells later, but that shows you how you can make the shells, okay? If you have a scan and cut, you can, like I said, scan this background and then you'll have a layer, and I'll show you on this card where I use the clouds. So it is layered with a back of white, or you can just trace it and cut it out. You can do that without a scan and cut. And I did this on crumb cake cardstock and then used early espresso there. Now this one I didn't stamp over. I think it would look better if I would have stamped over with one of the detail to give it more of a realistic look. I did use Lost Lagoon cardstock on that. So, and that's the little crab, which I said in my unboxing, these were fingers. They are claws or snappers, whatever. But I like to make it a person and called it fingers. Okay, so that is another alternative. And I did just add the 2 seashells and the cloud for a background. Now, let me get to that piece that we didn't use. So I made it into a totally different card. I did use this piece that was supposed to be a part of this card, as well as the background piece. Now I first did a piece of Pool Party, and I embossed this with the Painted Texture 3D embossing folder. And here's a tip of what I do with all my embossing folders. I put a label of the name, because after you unpackage it, nowhere is there the name of these embossing folders. So that's always a good idea, whether you use a label or a Sharpie, to just put the name on there. I found the Sharpie kind of rubs off, so I did a label. Okay, so then I did the same thing with my shells. Now here you can see I did a background of white with some stamped detail from the Chic Season of Chic stamp set. This is also one that I did just like this. This one's in Pool Party, and I didn't stamp. You know, I think it does look better with some detail like these. That, I'm guessing this brush had too much green still left, is why it doesn't look like Lost Lagoon. But at least I showed you how you could do it. Okay, and then this one, I actually think I cut that one from, this is the Boho Beach card kit that I ordered that I was hoping would coordinate with this, but the colors just don't work. But since you only need half of this to make the card base as shown, the opposite side, especially the one that's all crumb cake, really cuts out some nice shells. So that is another use for the back of the Boho Beach set. Okay, so then I just simply put this over the top, added this directly to the card. I did a stitched circle from the, let me see. Well, I've forgotten the name, so let me get out the catalog and find those for you. They're very basic, everyday dies that are good for many occasions. They are the, can't believe I've forgotten the name. They're like Very basic. Okay, stylish shapes. So it has circles that are stitched, squares that are stitched, and banners that are stitched. So a very versatile group of dies, and that's on page 167, item number 159183. So those are a great set to add to your collection for labels. So I did the Relax, You Deserve It. I thought this might make an okay retirement card or something like that. Now I did add the birds, and it's so funny because these are past paper pumpkin kits. This one used to be in the kit collection, which is no longer available. And then this one, just last week, was in the kids collection, and it's no longer available, and I'm pretty bummed because I love this little boat. I love the lighthouse and the birds. I use these birds all the time. So I did add those to this card. I'm thinking he needs a little boat. Maybe I have one stamped and cut already. I don't think I do. Let me see. I don't want to sneak and show you the one I'm going to use for my blog hop, possibilities blog hop. So anyway, these are 3 ways you can, and here's my flip-flops. Can add those somewhere on there. So I showed you how to use the Season of Chic dies to add more details to your beach scene, as well as make it pretty much like is, but just add dimensionals. I think it would do better to cut out those pieces, but I wanted to make it easy to do. And then here we go. And with a different color, that might look neat there to cover up that mark that you can see. But again, in a better color. I couldn't believe that turned out so blah. And, you also have these in the kit. I think you have a few extra starfish you could put back there to cover up that score line. I don't like to see score lines. I think I like that. I'm going to go ahead and add that down in there. So he covers up the score line. And I think that is it for today. Now, on Wednesday this week, which would be the 26th, is when the Paper Pumpkin Possibilities blog hops will post. They post at 8 p.m. Central Time. And so I will have another alternate that I've made with this kit that I'm going to share there on my blog. So if you're not subscribed to my blog, you might want to head on over to my blog, which is in the description box below. It's RobinsCreations at .wordpress.com, and that is my blog where I share still photos and other times when there's just a special that I don't have a video for, I do that as well. But I'll also share on my next video if I add this little boat. I think I could stamp directly on the water, but I think I'd rather just stamp one and then fussy cut it out and stick it on there. So let me know what you think about these alternates. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And any kind comments, I love to read them and reply to you if you have questions, or if you're just telling me hello and where you maybe are from watching. So have a great day, everyone. I hope you have enjoyed this kit, and I hope I've given you some possible options to expand your kit or make them more like a regular card. Have a great day, everyone. Next time. Bye-bye.